This Flutter app uses the slider widget to select the number of passengers as well as the amount of luggage when booking a flight to the Mara. As I move the sliders around, it calculates the cost of the flight in real time. Let's code this app from scratch. We start off with an empty VS Code window. The first thing I'll do is open up the folder that I have created specifically for this project. Next, I'll open up the terminal and use the command flutter create demo_app to create a new project inside a folder called demo_app. We can see that our project has now been created. Next, I'll create a new folder inside the demo_app folder called images, which is where I'll put the image that we're going to use as the background for the app. I'll open up the file explorer, go to my collection of images, copy the image that I need from there and paste it inside this images folder. Next, I'll go to the pubspec.yaml file, scroll down to the assets section and comment this code and remove some of this text so that we remain with only a line pointing to the images folder. I have also added this .vscode folder with this settings.json file, mostly to keep the IntelliSense pop-ups from showing up as I write the code. I'll now close this pubspec.yaml file and go to the main.dat file to start writing our code. The first thing I'll do is change this device to Chrome so that later on I am able to run this app on the browser. Next, I'll change the title of this app, remove the comments in this code, and remove some of this code so that we remain with only a blank scaffold. At the top here, I will create three variables: a double called number of passengers, another double called luggage weight, and another double called total cost, all of which will be initialized as 0. Next, I will create the function for calculating total cost, which will return void and will set the value of total cost to the sum of number of passengers times 10,000 and luggage weight times 1,000. Inside the body of the scaffold, we will have a stack widget whose first child will be the background image, and for this we will use a sized box whose height will be the screen height and whose width will be the screen width, and its child will be an image.asset which shows our airplane image with a boxFit.coverFit property to make sure this image fills up the entire sized box. On top of this sized box, we will have our main content, and for this we will have a centered opacity widget with an opacity of 0.9, and the child of this opacity widget will be a card with a border radius of 20 pixels. The child of this card will be a sized box whose height will be 300 pixels and whose width will be 200 pixels, and the child of this sized box will be a column whose main axis alignment property will be set to center. At the top of this column, we will have our title section where we will have a text widget that says book a flight to the Mara with a font weight of 600, after which we will have a divider with a height of 30 pixels and a thickness of 2 pixels. Next, we will have the number of passengers slider section where we will start with a text widget that says number of passengers, followed by a slider widget whose value property will be the number of passengers variable. It will have a total of 8 divisions. Its maximum value will be 8 and its label will be the number of passengers variable converted to a string. Inside the onChanged property, we will have a function that takes a parameter which we're going to call value, and this value is the new position of the slider. Inside this function, we'll have a setState function that sets number of passengers to this new value and also calls the calculateCost function. And we're using setState so that each time we move the slider, the UI updates to show us the new slider position as well as the new cost. Let's move on to the luggage weight slider section. We will start with a text widget that says luggage weight in brackets kilograms. After this, we will have a slider widget whose value will be the luggage weight variable and its maximum value will be 800. In its onChanged property, we will have a function that takes a parameter which we will call value, and inside this function we will use a setState function to set luggage weight to this value parameter and then calculate the cost. After this slider widget, we will have a divider whose height will be 30 and whose thickness will be 2. Then we move on to the flight summary section where we start with a text widget that says number of passengers and displays the number of passengers variable, then a sized box for spacing, followed by a text widget that says luggage weight and displays the value of luggage weight rounded off to 1 decimal place, followed by a sized box for spacing. I'd like to format the total cost figure to give it the KES prefix for Kenya shillings, use a comma to separate the thousands from the hundreds, use a period to separate the shillings from the cents, and limit the number of decimal places to 2. Let's head over to pub.dev to check out the package that we're going to use for this formatting. Inside this search bar, I will type intl, then hit enter. This is the package that I am looking for, so I will click on it and head over to the installing tab. We can see that we can use the command flutter pub add intl to get this package installed in our project. I'll open up the terminal, then use the cd command to change the current folder to the demo_app folder. I'll then use the flutter pub add intl command to get this package installed in our project. If you know the pronunciation of this intl name, let me know in the comments below. I'll close this terminal, then import this package at the top of the file. At the bottom of the column, after the sized box that we created last, I will create a text widget that says total cost, and then I'll create an instance of the number format class from our new package, inside of which I will define the format that I want and then apply this format to our total cost. Finally, I'll apply a text style to make this text bold. We are done writing our code. Let's save this project and build this app to check it out. Our app has now been built. I'll close this inspector tab, close this debug console, and zoom in on our app window. When I move the number of passengers slider, you can see that the number of passengers at the bottom changes and also the total cost changes. When I move the luggage weight slider, you can see that the luggage weight value at the bottom changes, and so does the total cost. And that's how you set up a slider in Flutter. If you have enjoyed this video and found value in it, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might find it valuable as well. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel with the notifications turned on so that you get notified each time I upload a new video.